On this week's show, we join Dan in Fault as he discusses trail camera placement. Then we'll join Dan as he puts these tactics to use on a northeast Iowa 10-point. Sit back and enjoy the show.
First point I want to get across is that trail cameras do more damage than good in most cases. And that's because most people put them in the wrong places. They get kind of addicted to putting those cameras where they hunt and getting these pictures of these bucks, and really they're doing damage by getting their scent around their hunting areas. There's ways to get those pictures without damaging your hunting. By putting the cameras up in feeding areas where deer are okay with human scent. If a deer's moving around in daylight where you hunt, it's because he feels safe there. By going in there and checking cameras, you're getting scent there whether you like it or not, and I don't care what precautions you're using, you're getting scent there. And deer won't put up with that scent. They'll move, they'll relocate, or they'll get nocturnal. Okay, so based on where they're bedding, if you look at the bedding areas, I don't want to go into the woods around those beds to place cameras or to scout or anything near season or during season or even in the late summer. So those cameras are going to be back up in the fields. They're going to be up in the little pinch points and stuff between the fields, the tree lines, the areas where those deer are coming up to feed at night. Well, they're going to be okay if they run into human scent. They're not going to like it, but they'll be okay with it. They're not going to relocate their bedding area because they smell a human up in those fields. So if it's legal, I would put minerals out in front of those cameras all summer, and in the fall maybe throw an ice cream bucket or so of corn in front of them, just to make sure that a deer that goes through those fields wanders over and poses for a picture. Because really what you're trying to do is get a picture of every buck on the property and multiple pictures so that you can use it for pattern. So now that you got your pictures, how do you use them? Well, if you got a buck coming in at say it gets dark at 7:30 and he's hitting those cameras at 8 or 9, you can figure he came up to that feeding area first and he's coming from his bedding area. If you put that camera on video or bursts of pictures, hopefully you can get a travel direction. You can get where he came from, where he's going to. That travel direction will help you pinpoint the beds. Also, if you know what beds he's using on certain winds or certain wind directions, you can look at the picture dates and times and go back and you know, a weather-based website or whatever and check the weather of those dates and see what the wind was and say, okay, he must have been bedding in this spot. And after a while, you should be able to pinpoint those bucks to where they're bedding. And by the fall, when it's time to hunt, you should have a really good idea, based on those pictures, where those bucks are bedding and how they're coming out to the bedding. Out of the bedding to the food, I should say.
In this segment, Dan shows the actual setup he used on the hunt for the Iowa 10-point.
Okay, so take a look at this spot on the map right here, where this camera is. We're getting several decent bucks that were coming through by this camera. One in particular that we knew was bedding close. And based on the pictures, I was assuming he was bedding right over here, in this bed here that we had scouted this spring before. Because the pictures were in daylight, he was coming out an hour before dark. Normally I wouldn't hunt the food plot, but cameras don't lie. I mean, if the buck's there every day in daylight, he was there 3 days in a row before I hunted, and the camera don't lie, so he's there in daylight. So I set up right there. Right here is where we put the trail camera. This is where the buck was bedding. Right here in this tree line is where I put my tree stand. The wind was coming out of the northwest. Here is the buck's travel route.
was the buck I was after. That's the one that was showing up on the camera. Looks like I liver hit him. The wind's pretty gusty out here, and I held a little bit back from the shoulder so I wouldn't hit him in the shoulder just because of the gusty wind, but 20 yards it's hard to miss, but looks like I got liver. Probably let him go until tomorrow morning and see what we got. I saw him disappear over the hill over there, and I haven't seen or heard nothing yet since, so I'll give it about 10 minutes or so, then I'll pull the camera and stand and head back and meet Cody and see how he did.
Okay, we got first blood, and we're only about 10 yards from the shot, and it's pretty heavy. It's definitely liver blood. Good thing we waited overnight. So I don't think he'll be too far away. I bet she laid right down. Here's the arrow, right there. After the hit, you should take a good look at your arrow. This, I can tell it's a pass-through by looking at the feathers. Luminox still lit, just a little bit. All the blood on here is dark red. I see just a little bit of stomach contents on here. Which anytime you have stomach, you should wait overnight, or at least 12 hours. You take some chances with the coyotes and such, but those chances are worth losing the deer. Good heavy dark blood on here. What the dark blood tells me is it's definitely a liver hit. The arrow was sticking through him both sides. As soon as he got in this heavy brush, it pulled out. He ain't 15 yards from where I shot him. Here's where he laid down, obviously not for very long. He hid behind this rock here where he could watch his trail. I shot him up in there. So he was hiding right behind this rock where he could watch his back trail in case I was following him. Okay. Here's blood here. You know, I can see where the blood goes through here and he goes down to the river. That ain't good. I hope he didn't cross that open pasture. It'll be hard to find if he did. Let's hope he hung around over here. Oh, there he is. There he is. Oh, I see him. He stayed in the water. Check it out. There he is. There he is. What the heck's going on here? Woohoo! Woohoo! What do you think of that? You had to be along while I had the camera on when I found them. That don't happen too often. See if I can find a way down there without killing myself. A lot of times with these liver hits, you find them in water like that. I was kind of hoping he didn't cross that damn open pasture. It's good and stiff this morning. He's an 8 frame, but he's got 3 brow tines on this side. Looks like a decent buck. I'm pretty sure it's the one on the cameras, but I didn't see the brow tines. We'll have to take a look at the pictures and see. I'm sure he came down here and laid right in the water to soothe his wounds on that liver hit. That's what they do. I was concerned though when I first looked down here. I didn't see him, and all this open pasture. I thought maybe he'd have taken across that, and then finding him would have been pot luck. He wasn't bleeding very well. Let's get him tagged and we'll get the boys.
Well, that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you'd like to continue the discussion on trail camera placement or discuss anything else you saw on the show, feel free to join our online forum at www.huntingbeast.com. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you again next week.
Caught me a possum. Caught me a possum. You knocked my hat off, buddy. Let's go show the old lady. He's crawling around down by your barn.
He's still alive. He was living in the coon pen.
He's under visiting.
Yeah, he moved from the coon pen to the barn because I was harassed.
Where should I put him?
Put him back outside. They were there all winter. You're screwed. And they stink.
He's starting to. I gotta get him out.
Put him back in the tree box.
Bye-bye, possum.